A bombshell announcement from NDP leader Jagmeet Singh is sending ripples across our nation's political landscape tonight. Singh is backing out of the supply and confidence deal that's kept the minority Liberal government in power, calling Justin Trudeau's party too weak and too selfish.
Fact is, the Liberals are too weak, too selfish, and too beholden to corporate interests to fight for people. They cannot be the change. They cannot restore the hope. They cannot stop the Conservatives. But we can. In the next federal election, Canadians will choose between Pierre Poilievre's callous cuts or hope. Hope that when we stand united, we win.
Singh releasing this campaign-style video on social media to announce the decision, which means Trudeau can no longer count on the NDP to support him on key votes, like the federal budget, and that would keep the Liberals in power and avoid an election. The announcement eliciting responses from Trudeau and Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre today.
I'll let others focus on politics, but I will point out that I really hope the NDP stays focused on how we can deliver for Canadians, as we have over the past years, rather than focusing on politics.
Sellout Singh has pulled a stunt. The Sellout Singh stunt today, where he came out and claimed that he was wrong, that the coalition was a bad, costly idea, but he refuses to commit to voting for a carbon tax election.
For more on this, I'm joined by political analyst Keith Leslie. Keith, are you surprised by the sudden announcement?
Absolutely. It was a big surprise that it came today. We expected at some point, there's a change election coming. We all know that. And we knew the NDP would have to separate themselves from the Liberals. And so what we're seeing here is Jagmeet Singh breaking up with the unpopular Justin Trudeau. But he's not willing to go so far as to say, I'm going to force an election right away. We're going to have basically a regular minority government situation where it's going to be issue by issue, bill by bill. But the New Democrats, while they may have gotten a lot from the supply agreement with the government to keep them in power, they didn't get any popularity or support for it from the voters. The polls just show that they're still between 18 and 20%. So they need to break out and break away from the Liberals, who are extremely unpopular at this point. So that's exactly what we've seen today.
So why now? Do you think the timing has anything to do with the upcoming fall session of Parliament or the NDP's caucus retreat next week in Montreal?
Well, they clearly want to get that out of the way, but there's also by-elections coming up in Montreal and in Manitoba. The NDP are actually in play in Montreal, and if they lose in Manitoba, that'll be a big deal for them. I don't know if by-elections are enough to have prompted Jagmeet Singh to actually, as he said, tear up this agreement. I mean, he used some harsh language in breaking up with the Liberals today. So the by-elections may be a factor, but I think more than anything, it's his own low rating in the polls that they need to break away from the Liberals and try and get some, some recognition from voters for the work they've achieved, where the Liberals are going to claim credit for everything that was in that confidence and supply agreement.
What do you make of the strong language? He really went on the attack.
He absolutely did, and it makes you wonder how he can then say, okay, you're beholden to corporate interests, you're weak, and yet I'm going to support you on this bill, on that bill, and on the next bill, because I don't think the NDP are actually ready for an election right now. So I think this is going to give more ammunition to Pierre Poilievre to say that this was a bit of a stunt by Jagmeet Singh, but it was also a bit of a saving thing. He's got to save his own leadership. He's leading the NDP into a third election coming up here. He can't be going in, hiding behind Justin Trudeau's achievements. He's got to go in on his own strength.
Well, an election, of course, is what's on everyone's mind now that this has happened. Poilievre has been pushing for what he's calling the carbon tax election. Do you think he's getting closer to getting that?
Well, I think the chances of an election are absolutely much closer now, because we're into a regular minority situation where basically any confidence vote could bring the government down. And you can be sure Poilievre and the Conservatives are working on one right now that basically says, because this government is weak and beholden to corporations, we think they should lose confidence of Parliament. They may have to try and force a vote on that. I don't know if the NDP are ready to support that kind of a motion, but that's what we're going to see from the NDP, or from the Conservatives. They're going to push hard for a confidence vote to trigger an election as soon as possible. But I don't think the NDP, and certainly the Liberals, don't want one before October of 2025.
Well, how badly do you think everything that's happened today damages the Liberals?
Well, of course, I mean, the harsh language that Jagmeet Singh used, I mean, is going to be used against the Liberals by all the other parties now as this campaign goes on. But for the most part, it could give the Liberals an opportunity here. They, too, need to break away from this agreement with the NDP and show voters something that they're willing to change. The voters are looking for a change, and if the Trudeau government is going to do anything significant, they can do it now with this agreement or the need to have the NDP supporting them when they do it.
That's political analyst Keith Leslie. Keith, always a pleasure.
Thank you.